Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope on this Monday, 27th day of April. Got a great show with you for tonight, this Monday morning brief, like I always do. Playoffs, obviously the draft. Draft's a bigger deal right now. I think I'll start back with the playoffs. I'll go back to the playoffs afterwards. Ty Simpson got a thought there on the you could see the first public bashing, head bashing, which is a healthy thing between Les Snead and Coach Sean McVay over the Ty Simpson draft pick going back to Friday. Obviously, McVay cleaned it up later on, said everything's good. Talk about that. Got a soundbite for that. Give you some draft grades. Teams I really liked, teams I didn't get to all of them, but we'll talk about that here shortly. So stand by. We'll take our first and only break, and we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then, I'm back here live. Okay, so we had the draft over the weekend, and particularly, you get draft grades over the entire draft. Now, there's some picks on Thursday night that I liked, really stuck out for just individual picks. Players like Ruben Bain Jr. going to the Tampa Bay Bucks. What a value pick at 15. Caleb Downs going to Dallas. I want to remember they traded up to 11 to get that pick there. Great individual picks there. But the pick afterwards, it's a player coming off injury. Even Nick Saban got caught on a hot mic saying that their second pick, the edge rusher from, I think it was UCF, was a little bit of a reach for Dallas, but we'll see. I mean, Dallas they have been drafting pretty well here lately when Jerry doesn't meddle Jerry Jones, that being said. But here's some overall draft grades. The best ones that got my attention, for example, like the Cleveland Browns. I didn't see a grade for Cleveland Browns from anybody that I looked at. I'm talking NFL Network, Athletic, you name it, that did not give them NFL.com, ESPN, did not give them a good grade, an A or better, for the Cleveland Browns here. You look at the fact that they let go of their entire offensive line, a big piece of that now. They got that with Spencer Fano. Remember the trade up for Kansas City, moving up to 6 to get the cornerback, Mansour Delaney out of LSU, puts them back at 9. So they got the extra pick, and they got Spencer Fano, who I thought Kansas City probably should have taken at 9. Cleveland gets that pick and another pick. So very good pick there for the Cleveland Browns, along with, listen, they've had some good picks over the last few years. But we'll go ahead and get to my screenshot here. Spencer Fano at 9 overall. This is 24. Remember, this is the Jacksonville pick. Jacksonville traded up to get Travis Hunter last year. They got Casey Concepcion at 24, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Then they got another wide receiver, Denzel Boston, from Washington, who had a first-round grade by most, and they get him in the second round with a 39th pick, along with also Emmanuel Michael Warren, a guy that also had a late first-round grade by most, the safety out of Toledo there. Very good pick there. So, they may have very well had the best draft in this particular draft. Not sexy, not a lot of flash there. They got 2 receivers, but not really flashy receivers, and they got them with good value picks. But you compare this draft with last year's draft with players like Mason Graham, they got with the 5th pick that they traded down for, and guys like this 3rd-round pick that a lot of you fantasy players know about, this tight end Harold Fannin Jr., who was just catching everything in sight last year for the Cleveland Browns. Todd Monken, the new head coach there, whether it be Deshaun Watson or second-year player Shedeur Sanders, that Cleveland Brown team could pop this year. I know Mad New Yorker picked them to win the division, a little bit of a hot take. But, they're doing a lot despite all the guaranteed money that they gave Deshaun Watson to set this team back. I do like the fact how they have worked the draft and getting accumulating many draft picks and starting to turn these players. Rashad Jenkins, the running back they got last year, another good pick up there. The other running back out of Tennessee, the backup running back, was coming along. They picked up quite a few players there. Remember, they got 2 quarterbacks last year. But we'll see how all that plays out, of course, with the depth there, a quarterback there, with possibly Deshaun Watson coming back and playing this year. And judging by all means, it looks like that he's going to get his fair shot, according to Todd Monken. Watson's going to get his fair shot to beat these guys out coming off those Achilles injuries. So they had a good draft, They had a very good draft. Like I said, most that I read have Cleveland Browns as the top, and I couldn't disagree or couldn't agree anymore there for the Browns. Now, the Jets here. Now, listen, I know the Jets are going to be bad this year because if you don't have the quarterback play, a lot of that other stuff doesn't mean anything. That being said, that looks like they're putting together quite a draft here with the players. They're definitely a quarterback away. Don't get me wrong with Geno Smith here. But the fact that we talked about Bailey on Thursday, but also getting guys like Kenyon Sadiq there with 16, thought he probably would go 14 to the Ravens. And then you add the 2 Indiana players here, which I thought were really good. Omar Cooper Jr. here, wide receiver, Indiana, their leading receiver, was part of that national championship team. And, of course, D'Angelo Pons, this cornerback, very feisty corner, underrated cornerback, made some big plays against some big receivers. Look what they held Indiana to, or Ohio State to, with their Jeremiah Smith, arguably the best player next year's draft, the wide receiver, and, of course, Carnell Tate, the 4th overall pick by Tennessee. Look how well this guy played, both of those guys. Now, he's a cornerback here, but he was part of that Indiana defense that held Ohio State in check, getting the win over Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. We can't just put all the credit. I think it was a 13-10 or something like. I mean, they held Ohio State to 10 points with all that firepower, with the wide receiver getting drafted really high there, and of course all those defensive players getting drafted high as well. But they held that with 2 wide receivers. It's going to go first round. Jeremiah Smith will go first round next year, early first round next year, top 5, probably top 2 or 3 next year as well. So very good pickup there by the Cleveland Browns, or by the New York Jets, with that 2nd round pick. And then they added defensive tackle from Florida State, Darnell Jackson Jr. here. And Cade Kublik. The Jets added Cade Kublik, Clemson, in the 4th round, the quarterback. Now, we don't know how that's going to play out. We don't know if he's just going to be a backup and this team still finishes probably. And they got picks next year, multiple picks next year. But remember, they got the Colts pick next year, and Dallas's first-round pick. So they have 3 first-round picks next year with the players that they brought in this year. This could be a Seattle Seahawks type of situation, where you milk a bunch of trades here and turn them into valuable picks where you have a bunch of first rounders playing with each other that are productive playing in their early prime years. So they're a team to watch as fun as the jokes land. And of course, they probably need a head coach, and they need a quarterback. But they're going to have a roster. Their offensive line is already set. I think they had some pieces already on that. They have their left tackle and Fashanu there. Okay, they have some skill players now, like Garrett Wilson, and they're rebuilding their defenses as we see. So very good draft there for the New York Jets. Some that got my attention here. Also, Chicago Bears. Talked about it with neighbor Roy and his brother Fred on Thursday night. This guy, Dylan Thiemann, I thought he would be way off the board, like 15, 16. He falls to the Bears at 25 there. Led the league in interceptions, I want to say. A very good safety, right up there, not too far below Caleb Downs, the best safety, of course, one of the best overall players. But Dylan Thiemann, very good player there, fell them at 25. And then they get arguably the best center. Remember, Drew Dahlman, their center retired. Their center retired suddenly in the offseason, but they get this guy from Iowa here, Logan Jones, him, and the Slaughter, the Florida guy, and the guy from Auburn. Were the top three in the draft here. I want to say Pro Football has him as the best center. So very good pickup. The Bears, hey, listen, they went to the playoffs last year, and so they won a game. So they're drafting low, and they still had a very good draft here. So good job there by the personnel people there, getting two really good players there to fall to a team that did not look – they look like a team that could potentially now get back into that Super Bowl conversation that I was slightly taking them out of after they lost their center like that and lost some pieces. They traded DJ Moore, but so they got that second-round pick and ended up trading that down, getting an extra pick from Tennessee. Tennessee moves up and takes a linebacker here. So good job there by the Bears here. One of the better drafts, in my opinion, along with Philadelphia. Listen, Philadelphia's in the playoffs every single year. They're in the Super Bowl. And, Howie Roseman finds a way to wiggle his way to get very good players that the sites have, whether it's Pro Football Focus, it's ESPN, NFL Network, all have as highly rated players. Met Malachi Lemon. I mean, very good route runner. Had him going off at 13 to the Rams, who would end up taking, what I'm going to talk about here in a minute, end up taking Ty Simpson, okay? But they end up making a move with the Cowboys of all team, and in Division 4, making a trade, getting Malachi Lemon there at the wide receiver position, but also Eli Sowers there, the tight end. Talked about big time here locally out of Nashville. This guy played with Vanderbilt here. Got him with the 54th overall pick. Athletic tight end. Dallas Goedert's getting a little older now. He's 30 years old. So you're adding that depth. So once they move off him in a year or two, now they have Eli Sowers to lean on. A tall, athletic guy here. A very good pickup there by the Philadelphia Eagles. And in round three, they got Markel Bell, the left tackle out of Miami. Maybe they move him over to right and play for Lane Johnson, who's on his last leg. Was Johnson 36, 37 years old? Missed some games last year. That's when they went on their losing streak. You think about they're going to move off of A.J. Brown coming up in June. They'll get some more picks next year, probably a first round or a second round pick next year in the really highly sought after draft there. So they'll probably get another high pick there within the first two rounds for the A.J. Brown trade, whether it be with New England or somebody else. My guess they'll probably get a first round pick for A.J. Brown. So they got their future set up, and they got the ability to win now set up, okay? They've got the receiving room set up. They've got that extra tight end. They've got a new offensive coordinator. They're getting rid of the bad blood there with A.J. Brown. And they just had a really good draft. That is smart, looking ahead, but also taking care of now out of Philadelphia. That's why they've been to 3 Super Bowls in the last 10 years, winning 2. I mean, and they're in the playoffs every single year. It's because they're making the right decisions in March and April when you got free agency in the offseason with the NFL draft. Kudos to the Philadelphia Eagles here as one of my favorite drafts. And again, it's not, hey, they got the best grade because they picked the highest. No, the Eagles went to the playoffs and the Bears went to the playoffs, so they're picking down in the 20s, and they're still having really good drafts because their front offices are doing quite well. I mean, of course, I said Thursday that I liked what the Giants did there with taking Mauga at 10, and of course Arvell Reese at 5 there. I mean, yes, they're an honorable mention as well. Did not see too much though from their later day draft grades here. But teams I did not like here. I mentioned this. I actually played the bite back. I played the bite back here on Tennessee, but the Saints taking a guy like Jordan Tyson in the first round, that just gives you a bad grade right off the bat. A guy that's played 34 games in 4 years, hurt every single year, not a very good pick there. If he plays, great, but man, if this guy only plays 9-10 games, what use of it is? Taking him with a top 10 pick there, just not recommended. Maybe he's God be with him. Maybe he'll stay healthy and play all 17 games, and we'll look like fools for not taking Tyson. But with Tyson being, that just gives me a bad grade for the whole draft here, especially a team that's still in rebuild mode and has had, since Drew Brees left, they've had Cap and Sean. That's one of the reasons I think Sean Payton walked away from. They've been over the cap every single year for 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer. So anyways, and of course, so I didn't like the Saints. The Titans, he was a bit of a reach there at 4. Sites at him at either 11, 7 to 11 as far as overall prospect rankings. It was the best receiver, but with guys like Arvell Reese on the board, Sonny Styles on the board, offensive lineman, but they didn't want him. Borgi did not want to admit that he made a mistake signing Dan Moore to the deal last year, the left tackle. So he did not want to go offensive tackle that early, even though they probably should, and shift the offensive line, put Latham at the right tackle at left, and then take the draft pick and put him at right, and maybe move Dan Moore in, saving all you're paying him. The objective is to get the best offensive line out there. Move Dan Moore inside since he's still under a big contract at guard, and then you're set at that. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to take Reese or Styles, or they didn't want to take the lineman. Maybe they didn't get a trade down right, but I did not like that. Most were taken back by that pick. But they rebounded with their other 2 picks here. Taking Falk from Auburn and trading up and getting Anthony Hill from Texas, the speedy linebacker from Texas, Falk the edge rusher. So they did rebound. They went from a D probably to a C+, a B- in my book. I'll have Rich Ferris on the program tomorrow. We'll record a show talking about that draft. They did rebound, but I did not like their draft. The Tate pick really weighed them down as one of the worst drafts, considering the fact that they had high picks in the draft. But hey, listen, if Ward can play and they keep him somewhat upright and they win 8, 9, 10 games, it's all means no never mind. You know what I'm saying? This stuff is overlooked. But if he does get hurt because of the line, and then we'll go back and readdress taking a wide receiver that early, okay? But they're one of the 2 teams, the Saints, Tennessee. Thought the Niners. I want to say the Niners did not get I want to say they did not get that tackle early. And listen, I know that the Niners signed Trent Williams to an extension, but they took a wide receiver from Ole Miss. I mean, I know they wanted to replace Brandon Ayuk there, but I would have tried to taken one of those tackles. It's just one of those things where one team just has your number, okay? And now it's 3-1. Now, the fact that it does go back to Denver, they play tonight. I think Denver will win tonight, but who knows? You know, Minnesota gets these unsung heroes, Alo, whatever his name is. Guy comes off the bench, scores like 40-something points. Don't know if that'll happen on the road. But I said this after game one win, that Jamal Murray is doing too much running around, dribbling. There's no fluidity. This new coach has done nothing that Mike Malone didn't do. There's no fluidity in the offense, and now they possibly get eliminated. They could still come back, but look what it's going to take out of them to win 3 straight games over Minnesota, and they're going to be playing probably a well-rested Spurs team that got Wemby back, and they were, down 18, 19 points yesterday afternoon against Portland on the road. Then they come back and win. They were also down in game 3, not quite to that margin, without Wemby. Wembanyama comes back yesterday. Good game, by the way. Comes back yesterday. Either way, the Spurs are up 3-1, okay? And I know the Rockets end up beating the Lakers last night. Lakers are still going to win that series. It's a 3-1 series. But you got a 3-0 OKC. Thunder will probably finish it off tonight, sitting there waiting for the Lakers probably to crush them in probably 5 or 6 games tops. And that's me being generous to the Lakers. So they had played pretty well in this particular series. But, you know, with Durant's age and whatnot and Fred VanVleet, the Rockets are simply just a bad matchup all around for the Rockets against the Lakers. And, of course, I thought that Toronto series would be a dogfight, 2-2 there with Cleveland. Looks to be the case here. I said I think the Knicks will win in 6 because they cannot play consistent defense. We saw that. Now, they had a great night on Saturday night, and I think they play tomorrow, I want to say, in a pivotal game 5. They had a great night Saturday night, come back, get the win there. But Boston, they're going to have a night like they did the other night where they just miss all their shots. They've rebounded quite well. I expect Boston to be playing fine. And we don't know what's going to happen in between Detroit and Orlando. That's going to be a dogfight because Detroit doesn't have enough scoring in that series. So it looks like it's going to be Boston and probably the Spurs, but we'll see how OKC plays this out. We'll see how the Spurs play against a formal opponent here, you know, whether it be in this round or the next round. That remains to be seen. But Boston, San Antonio's way of looking. But, hey, anything can happen. Look at these injuries that occur out of nowhere. Things can happen, okay? All right, so I'll be back here. I'm going to record a short show on Tuesday, tomorrow, with Rich Ferris. We'll talk a little bit more about that Titans draft, see what he thinks about all the trade-ups and everything. Back live Thursday with the Mad New Yorker, get his take on the two, which I think they had a good weekend overall. They both had a pretty good weekend. Like the Jets picks a little bit better, but the Giants with the offseason, with the coach and with the quarterback play, Giants look like a playoff team coming into next year. So Folks, if you like the show, share the show. Again, I want to thank my Uber riders. A lot of Uber riders have signed up here in the last, subscribed here in the last week or so. I want to thank you. Been giving out a lot of cards while I'm doing that. I appreciate it. And as far as this show getting on the radio, it will be sooner than later. We'll be buying time on the radio and getting it to a bigger audience. And I want to thank everybody that's contributed towards getting these numbers up as far as subscribers and stuff. So, all right, folks, you all have a good Monday. I'll see you back live on Thursday with the Mad New Yorker here on the Real Sports Scope.